In the early 4th century BCE, the Greek city-states had been engaged in intermittent conflicts for over a century. By 371 BC, they managed to establish a fragile peace. The newly formed democracy of Thebes elected 4 Boeotarchs, who traditionally served as generals of the Boeotian League. Their election was a clear indication of their intentions to restore the league that Sparta had dismantled. Thebes, once an unwilling ally of Sparta, began to assert itself as a powerful force that could not be ignored. Under the guidance of visionary leaders like Epaminondas and Pelopidas, Thebes pursued a path of political maneuvering and military reform. The creation of the elite fighting force known as the Sacred Band represented Thebes' ambition and readiness to challenge Sparta. However, during negotiations, Sparta demanded that the Boeotian Confederacy, led by Thebes, be abolished. This inevitably brought the threat of war back to the forefront. Thebes, unsurprisingly, rejected Sparta's demands. Sparta had already mobilized their army and taken up a position on the western border of Boeotia before Thebes even gave their response. Sparta and its allies were led by none other than King Cleombrotus. The army, which was considered one of the most formidable forces of its time, consisted of 4 morai with a total of 2,048 men, out of which 700 were full Spartan citizen hoplites. To reinforce their strength, Sparta's allies also contributed around 9,000 men, making the total army size around 11,000, including 1,000 cavalry units. The Spartan cavalry was primarily used as a reconnaissance force, while the rest of the army was renowned for its discipline, rigorous training, and impeccable effectiveness in battle. The Spartan phalanx, supported by perioikoi and helots, was a well-oiled machine, rigid in formation, and unyielding in combat. Their approach to warfare was not only methodical and precise, but it was also deeply rooted in centuries of tradition, making them a force to be reckoned with. But after more than a decade of fighting, the Spartans' allies were likely to have lost their enthusiasm for further conflicts. The army of Thebes may not have had the same reputation as their Spartan counterparts, but they were in the midst of a remarkable evolution. Thanks to leaders such as Epaminondas, Thebes was introducing inventive tactics and formations. Their forces included 7,000 hoplites, including the elite Sacred Band of 300, a group of same-sex lovers who pledged to defend each other to the death. This group was led by the charming and talented Pelopidas at Leuctra. The Thebans also boasted the finest cavalry in Greece, with 1,500 soldiers, and a small infantry equipped with javelins to support the cavalry. All of these forces were under the command of the brilliant and austere military leader Epaminondas, who was a follower of Pythagorean philosophy. Epaminondas would become one of the most innovative and successful Theban commanders, as well as one of the finest generals in all of Greece. Instead of taking the easier route through the Face to file into Boeotia, the Spartans opted for a more challenging path over the hills via Thisbe. This unexpected move allowed them to capture the fortress of Cruces and 12 Theban warships without the Thebans realizing their presence. Upon reaching Leuctra, they faced the Boeotian army. Initially, some Theban commanders considered retreating behind the safety of Thebes' walls rather than facing the formidable Spartans in open combat. However, Epaminondas, known for his ability to use propaganda and imagery to boost morale, convinced them otherwise. One of Epaminondas' tactics involved reminding the Thebans of a tragic event, the rape of 2 local virgins by Spartans at Leuctra, which led to the victims' suicides and the establishment of a monument in their memory. Before the battle, Epaminondas ensured proper homage was paid to this monument. Another symbolic gesture attributed to him was the display of a snake, stating that by striking the head of the snake, the Spartan army, the entire threat of Spartan dominance in Greece would be eliminated. During the battle, the initial move was made by the Spartans, who attacked the non-combatant Thebans as they were retreating to Thebes. Regrettably, the Spartan leader Hieron was killed during the attack, causing the Thebans to regroup with their main force. According to Xenophon's account, the Boeotian camp followers were attempting to withdraw from the battle as combat was not their intention. The Spartan attack, however, inadvertently forced them back into the Theban army, unexpectedly strengthening their force. In July 371, the opposing forces gathered at Leuctra in Boeotia, approximately 8 miles southwest of Thebes. Cleombrotus led an army of 10,000 Spartan and Peloponnesian League hoplites, accompanied by 1,000 cavalry. Meanwhile, Epaminondas commanded 7,000 hoplites and 1,500 cavalry from the Boeotian League. Due to Cleombrotus's considerable numerical advantage, with almost twice as many troops as his adversary, the entirety of Greece anticipated a Spartan triumph. During the battle, Cleombrotus positioned his troops meticulously in the traditional phalanx formation. The formation consisted of heavily armored hoplites, 12 men deep with 2 wings. Cleombrotus, being a wise leader, placed himself on the left side of the right wing, surrounded by his elite hippias. Thebes boasted a formidable cavalry force, yet their infantry phalanx seemed outmatched by the seasoned Spartans. In a bold departure from traditional Greek military tactics, Epaminondas devised a strategy to counter the Spartans' strength. Typically, the armored hoplite phalanx fought in a solid block, 12 ranks deep, with the best warriors positioned on the right flank. Anticipating this formation, Epaminondas made a daring move by concentrating the bulk of his army, including the renowned Sacred Band of Thebes, on his left flank to directly confront the strongest Spartan hoplites. However, this left his weaker troops vulnerable to being overwhelmed once they engaged the enemy. To mitigate this risk, he arranged his army in oblique order and in echelon formation, delaying their engagement with the enemy for as long as possible. This deliberate slow advance had the dual effect of keeping the majority of the Spartan army occupied, waiting for the clash, and preventing them from reinforcing their right flank, which would bear the brunt of Theban pressure. Additionally, Epaminondas positioned his cavalry and light infantry in front of his phalanx formation to counter the threat posed by the Spartan cavalry. This strategic positioning was a departure from conventional Greek military tactics, but proved instrumental in the ensuing battle. In response to the unexpected turn of events, Cleombrotus strategically rearranged his troops, placing his cavalry at the forefront and extending his line in an attempt to outflank Epaminondas' left wing. However, this intricate set of battle tactics left Cleombrotus' immediate left side vulnerable, and the Thebans quickly defeated the Spartan cavalry, pushing them back onto their own lines and creating a gap in Cleombrotus' formation. This caused a temporary disruption in the cohesion of the Spartan forces. As the Theban army advanced, Epaminondas noticed a gap in the Spartan formation. Without hesitation, he signaled for his troops to follow him through this opening, creating chaos in the Spartan ranks. The clash of bronze against bronze filled the air, mingling with the shouts of warriors and the clangor of weapons. Epaminondas led the charge, his eyes fixed on the Spartan right flank. With precision and determination, he angled his attack towards their vulnerable side. The Theban infantry, with their elite sacred band at the forefront, moved like a relentless tide, crashing into the Spartan line with unforgiving force. The Spartans, known for their disciplined phalanx, were caught off guard by the ferocity of the Theban assault. Their tightly packed formation was no match for the Thebans' 50-men-deep column. The clash was fierce, the sounds of battle deafening as swords clashed, shields splintered, and blood stained the earth. Despite the overwhelming force bearing down upon them, the Spartans fought with unmatched valor. They stood their ground, their ranks holding firm against the relentless onslaught. But as the battle raged on, it became clear that the Thebans had the upper hand. On the other side of the battlefield, Pelopidas and the Sacred Band launched a devastating attack on Cleombrotus, the Spartan king. The clash of swords, the screams of the wounded, and the thunderous roar of battle filled the air. In the midst of this chaos, Cleombrotus fell, fatally wounded by the fierce blows of Theban warriors. With their king fallen and their right flank shattered, the Spartans fought on with desperation in their hearts. but it was too late. The Thebans, fueled by the memory of past injustices and the desire for freedom, pressed their advantage. The Spartan line crumbled, their warriors falling one by one as the Thebans closed in for the final strike. During the battle, the Spartan left flank remained inactive, as they were too far from the refused Theban right flank infantry and cavalry. Epaminondas' forces then shifted to the right and advanced on the remaining Spartan line, leaving the rest of the Peloponnesian forces vulnerable to attack. With little resistance, the Spartan ranks crumbled and their troops fled, resulting in a victory for Thebes. The battle claimed the lives of 1,000 Lacedaemonians, including 400 Spartan hoplites. The triumph marked Thebes as the most powerful polis in Greece, and it shattered the myth of Sparta's military invincibility after 2 centuries of victories. Although Epaminondas' strategies were not entirely novel, no one had ever combined them to create such a winning formula. The innovative tactics, such as the massively strengthened left wing, the use of cavalry in front of hoplite lines, attacking at an angle, deploying an echelon formation, and launching a direct frontal attack on the opposing commander's position, collectively formed the most devastating premeditated military strategy ever seen in Greek warfare. The defeat of mighty Sparta surprised and shocked the Greek world. The impact of this battle resonated throughout Greece. Not only did it result in a shift in military strategy, but it also marked the fall of Spartan military dominance and the rise of Theban rule. Thebes elevated Messenia to the status of an independent state, a move that prevented Sparta from sustaining its traditional state structure and military superiority. As a result, Sparta's power declined. However, Thebes was unable to maintain its leadership, which led to a coalition between Athens and Sparta against Thebes. The ongoing conflicts among Greek city-states left them vulnerable to external attacks, and in 338 BC, Philip II of Macedon emerged victorious in the Battle of Chaeronea, putting an end to centuries of inter-Greek warfare.